But now I'll rise above you.
Swazdula, you
worthless, ugly freaks!
How the hell are you? Right, so we just got a little bit of an update with new augments in them. I partially don't even want to call them augments because they're more like... Ha 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 ha! But okay, that's fine. I'm going to start this right off the bat and let you guys know I don't want to deter you guys from using any of these things. Use it however you want. If you like these augments, that's a-okay. That's fine. This video is not for you. But if you're someone who's a little bit uncertain and you're maybe struggling with resources, or you're just a cheap ass and you really just want to make sure you don't waste any platinum trading or any effort in farming things that aren't really worth it, then this video is for you. I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion and some assessment about some of these things. Whether or not you use them is totally up to you, as always, of course, but there, with a little bit of logic, we can talk about these things a little. So I'll talk about the positives first. And by far the best augment out of all of these that was introduced is Fused Reservoir, which is a Wisp augment. In case you haven't heard, what that basically does is it gives you another Wisp cabbage, so a fourth one, and that one is a combined version of all the others. Okay, so no longer do you have to cast, rotate, cast, rotate, cast, but now you can just go to the one reservoir that's 3 in 1, cast it once, and you have all 3 casted immediately. This is beautiful quality of life, which you can totally put in the Exless mod slot that they're meant for. So you don't really lose anything in terms of build quality or whatever, unless you're using my particular Wisp build. Then you'll lose the rush. I like to have rush in there because Wisp is really fast and I like wisping around even quicker. So one way or another, this is definitely worth it. Really good mod to have. I don't understand why this wasn't a thing sooner. The second mod that we can talk about that is alright, I guess, is Airburst Rounds. Airburst Rounds is an augment for Zephyr. Zephyr has received a lot of love recently, and Zephyr is still, because the tornado mechanic that I showed you guys a couple videos ago still works. So with that, Zephyr is still by far the hardest hitting Warframe in the entire game, by a lot. So having this augment, I'll read it to you guys really quickly. Each enemy hit by airburst increases secondary damage by 25% for X amount of seconds. Okay. Having an ability that buffs your measly weapon damage on a frame that can already one-shot with one single bullet, everything in the game is like, okay, why not? But to be fair, not everybody is going to want to run the Zephyr damage build, which I totally get because it's dependent on using a certain build on your weapons. And even more so, if you want to make it as efficient as possible, you have to use certain weapons to do it. Again, I already have a video on that. If you want to see it, I'll link it at the end of this one. In any case, it's free damage, so it can't really be bad. You know, it's not a bad augment by any means. It starts to play a little bit like Mag, where you cast your bubble on the enemies and then you pop damage into it and everything dies. Well, now Zephyr kind of does the same. You pop your air burst into a group of enemies and you suck them all into the center of wherever that air burst was aimed at. And then you shoot them with your secondary weapon with the increased damage. Now, practically speaking, there's a bit of an issue here. I tried Mott Survival solo, not Steel Path, just the regular Mott. The regular Mott should, since it's the highest enemy level that you can reach in regular star chart, should have the highest enemy density. And after a while, it does have a fair enemy density, but getting that 500%, because that's where it caps out, that's where the damage bonus caps out, getting that 500% cap on regular missions is almost annoying because there's never really a lot of enemies around you unless you're going against Infested, and Infested aren't even worth modding against because they're by far the easiest enemies to kill in the entire game. There's no reason ever to mod specifically to kill Infested, because if you have a regular Grenier build, that build will still already be more than enough to kill any Infested unit, right? So why would you need that extra damage to begin with against infested that are pushovers anyway? So what that means is that this mod will make the most sense when you're actually going to Steel Path or any other mission if you find them that have a much higher enemy density, so that you can hit as many as possible with your Airburst, and thus very quickly, maybe even in just one single hit, cap out your damage bonus of 500% toward your secondary. Unfortunately, 500% bonus damage on secondaries really still isn't that great. I mean, it's a decent amount of bonus, sure, but we're talking enemies that are pretty hard to kill anyway with regular guns and no other triggery. So if you think having 500% extra on your weapons is going to make all that much of a difference, then sorry, not really. They just won't cut it. You know how the enemies scale, you know how the gun situation is in Warframe. It's melee all the time. If you want shit to die, you use melee. Nobody uses their guns unless they want to hear the sounds or just stop spamming E for 2 seconds. You know, so even with 500% extra damage on the secondary, it's still not doing all that much. At the very least, that mod does stack, however. Or rather, it refreshes. So if you pop into a group of enemies and you hit 3 and you get 3 times 25% bonus from that 3 shot basically, then that bonus will refresh if you hit another enemy somewhere with the Airburst or 2 enemies somewhere. It'll just keep refreshing the timer on it, so you'll always keep that 3 times 25% damage buff, right? Which also means that whenever you find a larger group and maybe the next time you hit 5 or maybe 6 or whatever, then it'll stack and it'll just increase up until you hit the level cap, and it'll stay active as long as you're hitting enemies with your Airburst. So that's mega convenient. At least we've got that. So again, it's free damage. Use it if you want to. There's not really any downside to it at all, other than why bother, because it's not really all that practical, but up to you. Now let's talk about the more ridiculous side of things. The Hearty Nourishment is a Grendel augment. What this augment does is it clears status effects, and you gain a short amount of time status immunity for each victim in your stomach. Okay. Status immunity is pretty good. Status effects that bother us are like toxin effects because they bypass our shields and they can hit very hard on high level. Another status effect that is really annoying for us might be, well, radiation in some cases, but it's really short and it really doesn't matter. It doesn't affect us personally all that much, but rather our teammates. And then you have the bleed. Bleed procs are really annoying. They can happen very often when you're in the Kuva Fortress, let's say, and if they get through your shield, they'll hurt you quite a bit. But here's how it works, and here's why this mod is kind of silly. Status effects such as these procs, what they do is they deal damage over time. So they're depleting every second, or rather every tick, they deplete a chunk of your health. The higher level you get, the higher level they proc, the worse it gets, right? Okay, cool. When you have a frame that can heal themselves, though, you don't need to be immune to status effects, because Toxin will not one-shot you. If you catch that first tick, you'll know how much it is, and you can immediately heal yourself. Imagine Trinity. You're bleeding out as Trinity, not on the ground, but with a bleed proc, right? And you're about to die, and you cast your Bless, and you have all your health back immediately. You can counteract the negative bleed effect immediately, right? Well, Grendel can do the same. Whenever you cast any of his Nourish buffs, any one of them, he will heal himself for a percentage. Not only for a percentage, but it also scales off of the enemy level that you're dealing with, okay? So as you're healing, your self-heal increases and scales with the enemy level. It will also scale with the enemy's damage output or their potential procs that they could do, which means that it's irrelevant to clean status effects from you on Grendel. Grendel was already tanky to begin with. You can literally go to Steel Path as Grendel with the right build, not even a very effort-filled build. You can just go right into Steel Path and just stand there like an asshole and not die, right? Why does a frame like that can also instantly stop all incoming damage via consumption or whatever, right? Why does a frame like that need to be able to cleanse status effects? It's just a little silly, right? It's really silly. Plus, if you really love the aspect of status cleansing opposed to just, you know, straight up tanking damage with the other conventional methods, then that's okay too. But why would you use Hearty Nourishment instead of Rolling Guard then? Rolling Guard does pretty much the exact same thing, just kind of better, and on every Warframe and not just one of them. So honestly, if you're in a pinch and you don't have a lot of resources or don't have a lot of time to farm this shit, or you don't have a lot of plat, I would not recommend buying Hearty Nourishment because it's completely pointless. Grendel already doesn't die. Grendel already can self-heal, aka counteract status effects, right? He doesn't need an augment that will clean up statuses from him. He doesn't need that because he can just counteract it, okay? But I mean, you do whatever you want. And now for the creme de la creme of foolishness. The Repair Dispensary. Oh boy. I think that Repair Dispensary may well be the stupidest thing I have seen, at least since Zephyr's Anchor augment that she got. This mod is so incredibly dumb. Oh my god. Just let me, in case you haven't heard of it yet, let me read it to you real quick. This is Protea, right? Protea drops her little alien cabbage that heals and drops energy and ammo, these things, right? That thing. Now, check this out. Dispensary augment. Hold to create a dispensary that will revive the sentinel or companion MOAs of a player within 14 meters every 60 seconds. God damn it. So, if you're a weirdo, for some reason, and you like watching things die, then you're probably running either a MOA or a Sentinel, right? As a companion. Okay. If you're running these on any mention-worthy level, then you know that these assholes get one shot instantly, right? Don't believe me? Watch this lovely footage in the background, and also how effective this augment actually works in-game. And yeah, these guys are completely useless. They die within seconds, not even seconds. If you're at some level above 100 or so, maybe, probably lower, they get one shot immediately, right? And Dispensary then comes in with this augment, and thank God, thank the heavens, thank the Unum, right? It heals them every 60 seconds. And also only within range of the dispensary. What? What is this? What? This mod is so painfully stupid. I don't know. I don't understand who this was made for. It doesn't even work on companions. So the Kubros and cats and stuff, it doesn't work on them. It only works on the shitty ones. Or the shittier ones, I might say. And it doesn't do shit for them either. It's almost like a random blessing every 60 seconds or something. You know what would have been neat? If this thing would just make the goddamn Sentinel invincible. You know? How about that? It wouldn't be overpowered to have an invincible Sentinel. They don't do shit anyway. Not really, right? I mean, you got your Helios that can do some really crazy shit with his Disruptor and whatever. Great, but I mean, they're not really that great to have to begin with, okay? So having them around forever, not dying at all, or maybe if they did die, then at least put them on a death timer of, I don't know, 10 seconds as a punishment, basically, or whatever. Even then, this Repair Dispensary would be 10 times better, but as it is right now, it is completely and utterly useless. There is no reason why you should ever use this thing. If you get into a high enough level where you can make your Sentinel let's call it tanky, then you're in a realm or in a sphere as a player where you don't need Sentinels anyway. right? You won't be using them one way or another because other options are just 10 times better, right? So even then, this dispensary won't help you. And if you're just a wee lad or lass, Tenno, right? And you're like, yeah, but I like my death cube in Earth level missions, and it keeps on dying. Well, this mod still probably won't save you because it's a random heal every 60 seconds. You know how much damage you and your sentinel can absorb in 60 seconds? That's 1 full minute. This is a horde shooter where you're constantly being bombarded with damage. This mod is completely useless. If you want to try it, by all means, go ahead. If you're a wee lad or lass and you think you might need it, go ahead and get it. But if you're low on resources or you're just not sure if you want to get this or not, well, here's your answer. Don't. It's completely pointless, useless. You have... This thing has about as much effect as, let's say your Warframes are dying constantly, they're not tanky enough, so you go ahead and grab some bubblegum and stick it on your monitor. That is how useful Repair Dispensary is. Don't ever waste your time on it. Ignore the fact that it exists. Pretend it doesn't exist, like I pretend Grendel doesn't exist, and you'll be okay. Right, so there you go. Another little public service announcement. I hope this maybe helped you in some way or another. If not, maybe it was just an entertaining listen. I don't know. If you want to chat a little bit and hang out with some neat people, I would recommend you join our Discord server. The link is down in the description below, along with everything else relevant to me. If you want to support your content creator and you're looking for the patron stuff and you're looking for a Twitch sub stuff and all those things, all of that stuff is down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay healthy and safe. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this shitty channel, and fuck off.